Now, usually what we get during MLS Cup week is a State of the League address, Herc, from the commissioner, Don Garber. Now, this year he spoke about a few interesting things. Let's hear a clip quickly talking about schedules and very briefly something that's been discussed quite a bit over the last few months, the potential of adding a fourth designated player. Here's Don Garber.
Are there plans to add a fourth DP for next season?
Yeah, so no plans to add a fourth DP. But there will be announcements coming out of our board meeting, which is next week, and we'll have a press availability. See, let me say, we can't afford it. So that's a message for everybody. If we have to shut the league down, lose games, it impacts our players, it impacts our partners, it impacts our fans, it impacts everything that MLS has to deliver for all of our stakeholders. That being said, we've got to manage through that process and be clever and creative and figure out how do we reconfigure the schedule with all these different events so that we could make it work. Clearly, the World Cup in 26 is an entirely different animal, and I can't imagine we're going to be playing games during the World Cup, but the economic impact of that is significant. So how could we work away? Can we change the schedule format? Can we look at an Apertura and a Clausura? Can we reconfigure the Leagues Cup? Can we figure out ways that the competition exists differently in terms of how our teams play each other so that we could manage travel and rest?
So the headline there is how quickly he shut down the idea of a fourth designated player. We do know that there's some salary rules coming out later this week, Herc, so we'll probably save that deep dive for Thursday's episode. But what do you think of all the schedule talk there? And would it be a good idea here for Major League Soccer to consider what we see down in Liga MX, which is the split season?
Wow. Don Garber and Major League Soccer are worried about travel and rest now. This is interesting. Now, I remember 2016. I was still playing in Major League Soccer. You know, for Copa America in 2016, for Copa America Centenario, they gave us 9 days. So the question was asked about, we can't afford to shut down for 2 weeks. You can't afford 3 more days. Why wouldn't they be able to afford that? What would happen? Oh, I know why they couldn't afford that, because contractually they can't do it. Because their business model isn't to accommodate Copa America. They have to accommodate Liga MX now. They have to accommodate Apple now. They have to accommodate Leagues Cup. This is what it's about. It's Leagues Cup. So the reason they can't do that, and the reason they're thinking of adopting the Liga MX model of Apertura Clausura, is because they've got to get alongside with Copa America, who is somebody else's competition they don't have anything to do with. They've got to get Leagues Cup there for you to consume. And that's why they can't afford. Not because 3 more days will financially do them in, but because they have to put Leagues Cup in this congested calendar. That's why all of a sudden we are worried about it. So I absolutely hate it. I hate that in an event like Copa America that can change the ground some way, shape, or form in the U.S. for American football, for American soccer, you're going to turn around and say, yeah, not today, because we have Leagues Cup, because they're dependent on Leagues Cup contractually. That's why.
You hate the why, but do you hate the idea? Because I feel like one of the biggest complaints about MLS is how meaningless regular season games are. And that's the one thing that you would fix if you had a split schedule. You would immediately have more games that mattered. You would double your playoff games, which Herc would then save us from the 3-game first-round playoff series, so everybody gets a home game. You no longer need that. And, by the way, if the split season gets you on the FIFA calendar, then I don't care why. I don't care what the motivation is. Then it's 100% you do it. Because if there's one thing that MLS needs in order for it to feel like it's really part of the global, infrastructure of soccer, it's to be on that calendar for no other reason than the transfers. And that goes both ways. One, for the business of the league, but for the fans of the league. So you're not worried about your players, as we see all the time in MLS, getting poached in the middle of the season. To me, if a split season got us on the international calendar, I'm all for it. I'm not going to be cynical Seb over here like you.
You sit here knowing that you've been a fan of Liga MX for how long? And you're trying to tell me that the league games matter? When there's the repechaje, when there's play-in, when you can have a losing season and still make
when the regular season dictates who goes through in Liga, yeah, it matters.
The
when
same thing happens in Major League Soccer.
You gotta get in.
Don't try to pretend for a second that they're on the international calendar. Because have you
tell
seen
me
Jimmy
what an
Lozano's
MLS game
call-up
in
sheet?
May,
Have you seen
June,
Jimmy Lozano's
July,
call-up?
August
It has nothing to do with the international calendar. So listen, Seb, don't sit here and lie to the people saying this is going to fix the problems. Come on. You're sitting on a throne full of lies. Like, what is going on here? Like,
What
you're
will
going
we-
to seriously
what will we
sit
call
here and
the two
tell the
seasons?
people that's going to solve everything. Like, you don't watch Liga MX and know the exact same problems happen in the exact same
Just
way.
because you
with
steal the
Apertura
split
Clausura.
season from Liga MX doesn't mean you got to let everybody and their mother into the playoffs like they do in Liga MX.
What do you think's going to happen, Seb?
Who, by
What do you
the
think's
way,
gonna
are
happen,
trimming
Seb?
back on that.
Oh, they're trimming back on it? Is that really what they're doing? Seb, 10 teams made it. 10 teams. There's only 18 teams in the league. Come on.
You hate the play-in. You hate inclusivity.
Come
Look
on,
at you,
Seb.
Herculez Gomez.
8 teams make it out of 18 when it's not a play-in. Come on, Seb.
Okay.